Kelsey, one of your teammates said yesterday that you started saying in the huddles, we're all we got, we all we need.
Yeah, I said we all we got, we all we need, yeah.
How did that kind of come about? And do you remember when you started sharing that message?
Probably, it might have been after somebody got hurt. I won't even lie to you. It was early on. I think it was when CC got hurt, and I felt like it was deflating. It was hard for people to kind of see us and see our energy for what we brought to the table as a team. Hats off to CC for, being a great teammate and having to go through so much with injury. But, the all we got, all we need was it's a staple to who we trying to be as a team and who we want our culture to be. We can't help the ones that's not here, which is unfortunate, but we can help who is and be present about that and not disrespect the game because, I would like to think that CC, Ari, Sid would want to play and be in our shoes. And so I think the all we got, all we need is just, it's kind of like a respect thing, but to put it in the air that we all we got and we all we need.
That's the moment. That's the soundbite they use to build an entire narrative of jealousy, disrespect, and betrayal. Kelsey Mitchell, the veteran, admitting her now infamous mantra, "We all we got, we all we need," started the second Caitlin Clark went down with an injury. On the surface, it looks like an open and shut case of a bitter veteran dismissing the rookie superstar who stole her spotlight. And that's exactly what they wanted you to believe. But that's not the real story. Not even close. They're showing you the quote, but they're hiding the truth. The story they don't want you to know is that while they were busy painting Kelsey Mitchell as a villain, she was on the court orchestrating a silent, brutal revenge. Not on Caitlin Clark, but on the very media machine that tried to tear her down. They thought a single soundbite could erase a season of dominance. They were wrong. And I'm going to show you the proof they tried to bury. Stick with me, because this goes deeper than a simple locker room phrase. This is about how a narrative is built and how an athlete's legacy is almost destroyed for clicks and ratings. To understand the truth, you have to understand where Kelsey Mitchell came from. You have to understand the years of loyalty she gave to a franchise that was, for lack of a better word, irrelevant.
She's been here for the good, the bad, the ugly, and pretty much ever since the team been trash. Now, ever since Caitlin has got to the team, ever since Caitlin has joined the team, the Indiana Fever has grown notoriety across the world. They is the hottest WNBA team in the country and pretty much one of the biggest teams in all of sports. With all of that being said, Kelsey Mitchell has been taking it upon herself to kind of say little things and dissing Caitlin Clark. But a lot of people is insinuating that. Now, we have seen time and time again, members of her family even take shots at Caitlin Clark. Now, those are facts.
That's the reality. The team been trash. For years, Kelsey Mitchell was the only consistent weapon on a losing team. She played through the empty seats, the losing seasons, the total media blackout. She was the longest tenured player, the one who stayed when nobody else wanted to. She deserves credit for that loyalty, but in the world of sports media, loyalty doesn't sell, drama does. And then Caitlin Clark arrived. Suddenly, the Indiana Fever was the hottest ticket in sports. The cameras, the sold-out arenas, the national headlines, it all came with Clark. And Mitchell's role, in the eyes of the world, was instantly diminished. She was no longer the star. She was a supporting character in the Caitlin Clark show. This is the context you need, because when Clark goes down with an injury after just 13 games, and Mitchell starts that mantra, the media had the perfect story. It wasn't about a veteran trying to rally a deflated team. It was framed as a calculated shot. The jealous veteran finally getting her team back, and to make matters worse, Mitchell's own family added fuel to the fire. Her sister, Kelsey Mitchell, was caught on social media agreeing with a post that claimed the Fever would be better off without Clark. This was the second time the Mitchell family was caught in this kind of controversy, creating a pattern that was impossible to ignore. For Kelsey, it was an impossible position. She's on the court trying to lead, and online, her own family is feeding the very narrative that's trying to destroy her reputation. The media had their villain, complete with family drama to make it even juicier. But here's where the official story ends and the real one begins. While the world was debating a 4-word sentence, Kelsey Mitchell was putting together one of the most dominant stretches of basketball in Indiana Fever history. This wasn't a breakdown. This was her revenge. They told you she was resentful. They didn't tell you that with Clark missing 31 of 44 games, Mitchell emerged as an MVP candidate. In the games without Clark, she averaged a staggering 20.7 points. The team didn't collapse. They rallied. And Mitchell was the one leading the charge, her defining moment of defiance. A career-high 38-point explosion against the Connecticut Sun. A historic performance that should have been a headline on every sports show in the country. But it wasn't, because it didn't fit the narrative. A dominant, successful Kelsey Mitchell proves the jealousy angle is a lie. So, they buried it. They chose to focus on the drama, on the family, on the out-of-context quotes, because the truth was inconvenient. The truth was that Kelsey Mitchell didn't need Caitlin Clark to win basketball games. And that's the most damning part of this whole affair. The disrespect wasn't coming from Mitchell. It was coming from the media that deliberately ignored her on-court brilliance to push a more profitable story. The narrative was that without Clark, the team was nothing. The reality: Mitchell led them to a 24-20 record and secured back-to-back playoff appearances for the first time since 2016. Let me repeat that. The team achieved more concrete success with Mitchell leading the way than they had in nearly a decade. That is an undeniable fact. And yet, when asked about it, you can hear the exhaustion in her voice, trying to take credit for the work she put in. We deserve it from a standpoint of we put the work in. She's not just talking to the reporter, she's talking to the entire media ecosystem that erased her contributions. She's fighting to claim her own success. The irony is sickening. The player accused of saying, "We don't need her," was actively proving that.
Kelsey, through all the ups and downs of this season, and I know you have bigger goals in mind, but the team ensured a 500 finish, back-to-back years doing that. I mean,
it's a big deal.
Right, given everything that this team has gone through this year, and the fact that you guys, I think, are one win away from securing a playoff spot, like, what did it take to kind of stay the course, and what does that mean to just at least get that one thing kind of checked off?
It's definitely a stepping stone in the right direction. I think considering where this organization has been and some of the great players that's come through it, we got to look at this, like I said, for a winning moment tonight. It doesn't happen a lot, and where we've been at, you guys know what it's been like the last couple of years here, and so to see the tables kind of turn, it works in our favor, and I think that we deserve it from a standpoint of we put the work in to be here, and so I like to think that you guys gonna keep sticking it with us too, because you guys deserve it. In order to capture good content and all that, you got to win, and so I think it goes together as far as both sides, but I think it's definitely important for us to kind of bask in it for a little bit, because I remember where,
At least on the court, her leadership was more than enough to carry the franchise to new heights. The revenge was in the box score. It was in the win column. Every bucket she scored, every game she won without Clark, was another crack in the facade of the media's narrative. They wanted you to see a bitter, jealous player. The numbers, however, show a leader who thrived under pressure and proved her value beyond any doubt. The WNBA got their drama, but Kelsey Mitchell got the wins. And that is a truth no amount of spin can change. The deepest, most cynical part of this conspiracy is how the media constructed their case. They took a moment of vulnerability and twisted it into a weapon. Let's look at the evidence again. I think it was when CC got hurt and I felt like it was deflating. He says it right there. The team's energy was gone. As the veteran leader, what is she supposed to do? Let them collapse? No. She stepped up and gave them a rallying cry. It was a standard locker room motivation tactic, something that happens on every team in every sport. But because it was connected to Caitlin Clark, the context was intentionally stripped away. And the quote was manipulated to mean something sinister. This represents a successful emotional manipulation through timing and context, not fabricated events. They didn't have to lie. They just had to tell a fraction of the truth. They didn't tell you about the 38-point game. They didn't tell you about the first playoff berth in 8 years. They didn't tell you that viewership, while it dropped, wasn't catastrophic. A Fever Mystics game without Clark still pulled 357,000 viewers, making it one of the most watched WNBA games in NBA TV history. The league was healthy. The team was successful. But the narrative needed a hero and a villain. It's the oldest trick in the book. By painting Mitchell as the jealous veteran, they made Clark's eventual return even more heroic. It's a manufactured drama designed to maximize engagement and sell a story. And Kelsey Mitchell's reputation was simply the collateral damage. Think about the injustice. A player dedicates years to a franchise, weathers the losing seasons, and finally, when the spotlight arrives, she's not celebrated. She's scrutinized. Her every word is dissected. Her family's social media is put under a microscope. And her career best, MVP caliber performance is completely and utterly ignored by the mainstream because it contradicts the story they've already decided to sell you. Her revenge was potent. She proved on the court, night after night, that she was an elite player and a capable leader. She proved that the Indiana Fever was more than just one player. She answered the critics with wins, with points, and with a playoff berth that nobody can ever take away from her. She did her job at the highest level. But here is the question that keeps me up at night. What was the cost of that revenge? The narrative is a powerful thing. Once it sticks, it's almost impossible to shake. Will Kelsey Mitchell forever be branded as the jealous vet who didn't appreciate Caitlin Clark? The competitor content predicts lasting reputation damage. Even though her MVP caliber performance should overshadow this manufactured controversy, the damage may already be done. The story was just too juicy, too easy, too profitable. She won on the court, but she may have lost the war for her own story. The stats are there in the history books, but so are the headlines full of words like disrespect, jealousy, and shade. Her silent revenge was beautiful to watch if you were paying attention, but the tragedy is, most people weren't. They were being fed a different story, a simpler, uglier story that fit neatly into a 30-second hot take. So now that you know the truth, now that you've seen the proof they tried to bury, the real question is, will anyone go back and correct the record? Or will the WNBA and its media partners just let this lie stand because it was better for business? And if they could so easily twist the narrative around a veteran having a career year, who are they going to do it to next? The machine always needs a new villain,